Coach, how important is it to host these games this weekend? How much of an edge do you think that gives you guys?
Well, I mean, you hope it is. I mean, to me, the most important thing is having last change. You know, that's an advantage when you're at home. But when the guys earned this opportunity, so, you know, hopefully we have good crowds. That certainly makes a difference. But, I mean, it's just frankly, it's the convenience of playing at home, not having to travel. And then, like I said, last change is always an important part of having that home ice advantage.
Did you learn anything about your team last weekend, securing the number 2 seed against Penn State?
What's that now?
Did you learn anything about your team last weekend? How do you think it kind of went?
Well, Friday night, just the resiliency of being able to come back like we did. I think that, you know, that's something we haven't had a lot of success at this year. You know, trailing by 3 goals and having the ability to peck away and get back in the game. You know, so they know that they can do that. You know, Saturday night was a little different. You know, it would have been nice to try to win that game in the third period as well. Special teams was a big factor in that game, and you know, we just have to have the discipline in the third period not to take penalties, and then the other part of it is, you know, we needed to get a good kill. We didn't have a lot of power play opportunities, which might have helped us, but you know, that's the tale of our team a little bit this year, is where, you know, we score, you know, 5 goals on Friday and then come back and have a hard time scoring more than a couple on Saturday.
With the playoffs here, does the team's mindset kind of change this week, or how's the team?
Well, I think anytime you get to the playoffs, there's always, you know, there's actually 3 points that the season, the intensity level usually raises, you know, in the second half of the season, and then again, it raises again in the playoffs, because you're basically playing for your lives. There's, you know, every game is potentially your last game. You know, you have to approach it with, you have to embrace it. You can't be afraid of it. You got to embrace it and attack the game and not play conservatively. But you also, you know, everything's elevated. Everything is made bigger, whether it's goaltending or special teams, face-offs. Every detail, you know, becomes bigger. So just being, you know, emotionally engaged and focused is probably the primary thing.
A lot of times we hear when the playoffs start, you want your team to be at its peak. Do you feel like the team is at its peak right now?
To some degree, I do. I mean, like, you know, our special teams have been better here in the second half. You know, I think Kale's, you know, settled in and has been playing pretty well. You know, I think that the only thing is I'd like to see us, the nights that we get secondary scoring is when we're, you know, peaking. You know, I mean, I think the first night at Minnesota, even against Penn State, when you're getting production from guys that are on your third and fourth lines, it makes a big, big difference. And that's the one thing that's been, you know, a little inconsistent for us this year. But, I mean, I think our team's been playing well. And we haven't always shown the results. You know, hopefully in the playoffs we're going to get the results.
Michigan State, what kind of challenges do they bring to the table?
Well, first of all, I mean, they're a much improved team from what they were last year. I think that they've solidified themselves in goal, which has made a big difference. But their top line is a huge factor, probably the top line in college hockey, and you have to be conscious when they're on the ice. Because they're very talented and very instinctively strong. That line by themselves can make a lot of difference. But they have a lot of, you know, a lot of guys that you know, they play a similar way. You know, their second, third, and fourth lines, you know, they're hard lines to play against. So, you know, you have to worry about their top line, but then their second, third, and fourth lines, they're challenging to play against because they play a hard game. They're very well coached. They got some good young defensemen, which has also elevated their team this year. So, I mean, they're going to give us all we can handle. I mean, we saw that every game we played them was a close game. The last time we played them, we won in the shootout. So, you know, that won't happen in the playoffs. We'll have to continue on in overtime. So, it's going to be a challenging series. I don't think there's going to be an easy series in the Big Ten in the playoffs this year because the results just show, just based on the records. I think they only finished like 6-7 points behind us.
Coach, just a couple more questions on behalf of Darren here. Can you speak to the importance of Andrew Peeke this season on and off the ice and how he's helped Stastny and Thurman develop?
Well, I mean, I think that would apply to Andrew and to Bobby and even Torrey. I think that they all have done a good job in in helping with the young defensemen. You know, I think that Andrew, you know, I named him captain for a reason. You know, he's got his head on straight. He's got his priorities straight. You know, he's motivated. He wants to become a great player. And he's played solid for us this year. I mean, he's not Jordan Gross. I mean, he's a good defender. And, you know, we've tried to work and develop his game offensively, but his strength, it comes in his defensive game. And when he's on top of his game defensively, he makes us a much better team. And, you know, we need him to be, you know, at his peak, literally, you know, as we go into these playoffs. He's got to be, you know, he's got to be the leader back there.
And then lastly, you touched on it a little bit earlier, but just what are the keys, you think, to the second half success with power play?
I think part of it happened by accident when we had the couple injuries to Cal Burke and to Cam Morrison. Putting that unit together with Dylan and Mike O'Leary and Michael Graham gave us a good unit. You know, at the time, they were the first unit because of the two injuries. And since those two guys have come back, what it did is it gave us a second unit, which is the first time all year long that we've had two units that potentially could score. We didn't feel that we had that in the first half, so every power play, we only took advantage of 50% of it. Because every power play, generally each unit gets about a minute a shift. And when you're putting a power play out there and the first unit only goes a minute, that's your power play. So we've just increased our scoring with having a good, actually I think both units are like 1A and 1B. I wouldn't say that we have a first and second unit at this point.